Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Gomes. I'm a Vedic astrologer of some 35 years experience. I, I live in New Bedford, Massachusetts. My elaborate mic is coming off as we speak. Hold on a second. I'll get this back on again. It's been kind of a long day. I'm not really all that energetic today, but I'll do my best. And so, long story short, we're doing a lot of cleanup. Uh, Hold on a second, folks. Sorry about this. Gosh. Oh, no wonder I'm putting it on the wrong way. I told you I was tired. All right, hold on a second. I told you. All right. But not too tired to give you the best dang show on Vedic astrology that you can watch, he said modestly. Um, so, yeah, if you're interested in getting readings or taking Vedic astrology lessons, please contact me. I have been doing this for a long, long time, and I have a lot of students, um, and I'd be happy to take you on as a student, and we can discuss terms and what you want to learn. And also, I do readings. I do a lot of readings as well. Uh, I do write occasionally. That's something that I haven't been so good at over the past few years, but I'm getting back into it. And let's see now. I just wanted to say the show is going to be a little bit more condensed than normal, just because of time constraints. And I apologize. I will talk about the February 10th eclipse, but not this week. And it's mainly because, uh, like I said, I have some obligations which were physically rather demanding of me. Um, I should be back to full strength next weekend. But uh, I- I'm not sick or anything. I've just been doing an extraordinary amount of work I'm not used to. So if I'm perfectly honest. All right, so let me pull up the chart for this week. I might take a look at a few countries, might not. But the main idea here is to give you an idea of what's going on in the world right now. From our native data, we're going to go do a now chart. And we're right on the cusp, so to speak, or we're just about to change signs from Scorpio into Sagittarius. Uh, so let me share the screen with you. Oh, by the way, if you want to contact me for readings or lessons, the best number to contact me at uh, is this is going to be troublesome this week. I'm going to have to lean in a little bit more. The best number to contact me at is 508-525-0001. That's my cell phone number, but you can also text me there. And you can also email me at garygomesg@gmail.com. Okay, so this looks like I'm enunciating a little better, or the voice recognition has gotten better. I'm not sure which it is, but maybe being a little bit tired is good for my speaking voice because I have to slow down a little bit. So let's look at the chart for right now. So for this week, for December 14th, 2025, at it's approximately 4:48 p.m. in New Bedford, Massachusetts. I have the blessings of having Jupiter in the first house. Jupiter's the Atmakaraka planet in this chart, so that's actually pretty good. So I'll be telling you some truthful things, I think, today. Mars aspects Jupiter, so you can expect maybe a little bit of harsh truth over the next week because Mars will be aspecting Jupiter. Um, this also, interestingly enough, causes some violence, although the moon is in Libra right now. Yesterday, there was a news announcement that came out around 5 o'clock in the afternoon that there was a shooter who killed two people at Brown University, which is very close to where I live. I don't, I mean, not right next door, but about 30 miles away from me. So I do recall that there was a line going right through Massachusetts, an astrocartography line going right through Massachusetts. Last week, let me share the chart with you. I haven't done that yet. Take first try. No, it didn't take on first try, so you're seeing a black screen. Let's try it again. That one took, so you can see the chart. So I was talking about the shooting at Brown University. They do have a person of interest in custody right now. Um, and but yesterday that Mars and Jupiter aspect was active, but also a Saturn. It was also a Saturn moon aspect hitting it. And one of the reasons that I thought that was interesting that we would have a shooting incident at a higher educational institution, although those happen more than I care to, more than I like, obviously, and we have more shootings than I like. Is mainly because Mars is aspecting Jupiter, which is technically the planet of higher education. Venus was in a sign ruled by Mars, so it was in Scorpio. And there's a cluster of planets in Scorpio right now, which can make people angry. And Jupiter in an air sign can bring about a certain amount of impulsiveness. The Saturn aspect in the moon indicates the incident was pre-planned. And so sometimes it's good to engage in retroactive analysis. Yesterday, the moon wasn't in Libra, it was in Virgo around this time of day. And so the rising sign would have probably been just about the same as it was right now, but the moon would have been back in this sign. And triggering Mercury, which is in a house of enemies or adversaries or even violence, and activating that violence by that Mars aspect. Now, so this is a very general analysis, I realize. But Saturn is also weak right now, so that's going to make people feel like they can get away with whatever they want to do. Um, uh, Probably the largest news story politically over the past couple of weeks have been involved with um, the Epstein files and also the uh, two two black representatives, Ilhan Omar and Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett announced her senatorial run, and Ilhan Omar, well, isn't directly connected with Ilhan Omar herself, but she um, Trump has within the past couple of weeks um, nullified by executive order the protected status of Somalis in Minnesota as refugees. So that's bound to cause some major problems and some major pushback. Um, and I'm certain it'll be challenged in the courts almost immediately. But the Jasmine Crockett um, announcement was made earlier this week. Um, there's always a chance that she'll win, obviously. Uh, but I'm thinking that with Saturn being so weak in this chart, it doesn't look likely for her. Now again, a lot can change between now and election day. It's but Saturn is incredibly weak. Um, the Democrats won't have any real strength until really about, I say about a year, roughly a year from now. And that's mainly because I equate Saturn with the Democrats, and Saturn is also heading towards its debilitation. So that's not a good sign for a Democratic Congress or a Democratic presidency next up. But these are general indications. That's not specific to the actual race in question. The Republicans, Jupiter is heading towards Cancer. They stay. So Saturn is heading towards its debilitation sign. Jupiter is heading towards its exaltation sign. Um, and so we will see, at least over the next few weeks, I think, with Jupiter going back into Gemini, some of the gains that the Republicans had made sticking, they are fighting amongst each other right now. Or put it this way, a lot of the um, people who are connected with um, conservative or MAGA movements are fighting with amongst each other right now. And that's actually pretty clear because Jupiter is being aspected by Mars right now. So that'll continue for about another couple of months. It may continue further on than that, but that's uh, what I'm anticipating. That that's what I'm how long I'm anticipating this particular activity will endure. Um, it won't go away overnight. Obviously, some of these things are deeply seated uh, within that party and within that structure, and that structure is a contentious structure. So the one thing I've noticed is um, until recently, um, and it may still be the case, the Democrats have managed to stay more unified. There were only splits in that showed up during the government shutdown, and there may be additional splits that show up over that because there's going to be another vote on the government shutdown in by the end of January, incredibly close to the eclipse. So we'll be watching that very, very carefully. In terms of the world, um, Jupiter's in Gemini, so there'll be a lot of new treaties, a lot of new agreements. K2's in Leo. This indicates trouble to a lot of long-term politicians and long-term um, people in positions of power. Um, let's see now. Rahu is in Aquarius. People are looking for new ideas, for new activity. They're not at all satisfied with the direction the world has been taking over the past few years. And this Saturn over here in the 10th house, um, there's a desire to see people who've done wrong punished. And that's true on both sides of the aisle. This isn't necessarily just a Republican or a Democrat thing. This is true for both parties. This is true internationally. This isn't true just in the United States. So so we tend to have this for you, and I have it as well. I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody else out there. There's this tendency for people to go, well, it's it's happening here, but other countries seem to be unified. That's not true at all. There's a great deal of political division all around the world. Only a few countries are exempt from it. So if you're looking at, let's say, Europe, large chunks of Europe, large parts of Europe are very, very divided right now. Uh, Parts of Brazil, parts of Argentina, Peru, Chile, Ecuador, Portugal, Spain. Every country that I can think of has divisions or dissatisfaction with the existing government. The only countries you might not hear that coming out of would be countries like China, but China has undergone some changes over the past few years, and maybe Russia, because Russia doesn't let that kind of information out, but there has been increasing dissatisfaction. And I think one of the things to keep in mind is right now, over the next couple of days, everything will be relatively peaceful because the moon is in Libra and Venus is about to go into Sagittarius within about a week. But watch out for people's sensitivity and their outbursts of anger, especially towards the end of next week. That'll be something which you'll see internationally, but also locally. Uh, so treat people with respect, courtesy. This is something we should always be doing, but it's especially important over the next month or so. Because that Venus and Mars conjunction and Mercury will be joining it within about 3 weeks. Will be very testy. People will be very testy. And this will be especially true in the United States, but also true for a lot of countries around the world. So this is something that I'm just encouraging people to be aware of. And in terms of things like volcanoes and natural catastrophes, I've always seen when planets are in Aquarius, I've always seen an increase in air accidents. So we have Rahu in Aquarius right now. There was one interesting thing that came up about the crash that happened shortly after Trump was elected. So the helicopter pilot apparently um, was following orders to stay on that particular path that she was on. So I'll probably look at that chart maybe in a little bit more detail next week, the chart for that particular event. But that was essentially, that was really, really weird when I heard that story. Now, again, that could be true, it could be false. I don't know, but that's at least what one of the investigations showed. So I'm not sure why somebody would be encouraged to not take diversionary tactics if they knew there was a jet liner coming um, uh, straight at them. But apparently that happened. So again, and again, I'm well aware this may be um, blown out of proportion. It could have been an honest mistake, but it didn't. It wasn't the pilot that made the judgment. It was her commanding officer that told her to stay uh, where she was. So this is interesting. And I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I just think it's fascinating that that kind of accident would happen. Um, so again, we can expect, I'd advise caution in traveling of any kind. It doesn't necessarily mean you can't travel at all. It's just that just be careful. because I've noticed it myself just traveling in my own little corner of the world. People are a little bit reckless right now, travel-wise, and that could be because of Mars and Sagittarius. They're kind of goosed up and kind of feeling like they're invulnerable. Um, Around Thanksgiving, my wife got stopped. I was in the car as a passenger. My wife got stopped, and she was a bit tired, and we were both a bit tired. And it was Thanksgiving weekend, and a fellow with a so he was it was an I'm it was an it was not a New England accent. Sounded like a Southern accent. Got out of the truck and stopped in front of my wife and said, "Well, you shouldn't have cut me off back there." And she was having trouble understanding him. She's hard of hearing anyway. And the guy, and she said, "I can't hear you." And she said, and the guy turns around and says, "You disrespected me." And it was just like, wow, so again, I don't know whether or not, to be honest with you, I don't know whether or not my wife was at fault or not, but it was just really bizarre for somebody to do something like that. So again, like I said, based upon, so this may not be your experience. Your experience may be uh, the person who is being cut off, but I've noticed a lot more anger on the roads recently, and I'm blaming it on that Mars Jupiter opposition. Okay. So just be really careful out there, folks. Um, the other thing is work will be a little bit challenging. Um, there will be more optimism though as the season continues, as the Christmas season continues, and I think you'll see a lot more people um, spending a lot more money. Um, Again, I've been advising people not to spend so much just because of the planetary aspects in individual charts, but that's just me. I mean, I'm inherently conservative spender by nature, although over the past year you couldn't tell that. But I'm also in a Jupiter subperiod, so that makes me a little bit more reckless than I usually am. And that's for me. It may not be for you in your chart. So I think that all these things factor in. Jupiter's in Gemini right now. We want to feel happier. We want to feel more optimistic. We want to be a bit more generous. That's good. Mars is in Sagittarius. We're going to be a little bit more hostile, a little bit more ready to jump and get angry and argue with people. And I've seen that across political divisions. Um, and but again, it's affecting the Republicans right now a bit more than it's affecting the Democrats, although Mars is aspecting Saturn too. Okay. So, but again, work life will be tough. Uh, Rahu, difficult to please bosses this week. Sun and Venus are in the sixth house. I already spoke about the Ukraine last week, so I'm not going to speak about that again. And Sun, Venus, and Mercury are in the sixth house. And I'll send that last week's reading out to everybody. I normally send it out on a mailing list. I've just been so busy this week. I've had a lot of readings, which is good, but I've also had a lot of other things I've had to accommodate. So, so basically, um, this Sun, Venus, Mercury conjunction in the sixth house. Again, be careful about ticking people off. Within about 2 days, the sun will pass into Sagittarius. That will heat up the Sun-Mars conjunction. Okay, so lighten up, it'll get more intense. Okay, so this is the time, more so than, let's say, for Jupiter hitting a certain position, because the interaction of the planets is important. So there are certain spots which are more warlike than others are, but I expect to see a lot of international anger and threats of invasion and uh, grabbing of property over the next month or so. Trump's recently started talking about wanting to take possession of Greenland again. And so I, I'm smiling because, not because I think it's a funny topic, but because it's sort of like um, an astrologically predictable position he's taking, because he's going to want to exert his dominance over the next uh, a couple of weeks. So I think that you're going to see a lot of government leaders essentially kind of taking that position, both locally and nationally. And in terms of the Supreme Court, in terms of the courts in different countries, again, there'll be more um, unorthodoxies popping up in the courts over the next few months because Jupiter's back in Gemini, so people will feel they have more freedom in interpreting the laws. Okay, so that's when Jupiter goes into Cancer, it tends to be um, a much more conservative posture, a much more by the book kind of posture. When Jupiter's in Gemini, it's like, well, we don't think you can do this because we don't think you can do this. Uh, so there's very little weight on judicial reasoning, at least from what I've seen. So let's switch off. I want to see if there are any countries I want to look at in particular this week. Um, Let me just see. 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 Um, Let me look at U.S. chart quickly. All right, so you see that Mars Venus Sun conjunction along with Jupiter in the seventh house, and that's going to be activated very strongly um, by this conjunction that's happening in Sagittarius. So it will make the United States a little bit more hostile, a little bit more aggressive. I would expect things connected with Venezuela to actually speed up rather than slow down. I know we have the investigation coming up of the of Secretary Hex's um, alleged order to kill the survivors um, of the of the missile that of the boat that was taken out by missiles. And so, but there are, and the other thing is we have Mars aspecting Mercury and Rahu in this chart this month. So this will make the press really, I don't want to say fabricate stories, but get more dramatic about what they're dealing with, um, about what they're reporting. Um, so I've seen people get a little bit more careful about what they're reporting in the Trump administration, but I haven't really seen any um, suppression of free speech. So you may view that from a different perspective than I do, but nobody's being told they can or can't say anything. It's um, the president can threaten with lawsuits. Anybody can, and but that's not necessarily going to make it um, stop stop them from reporting. Excuse me. And let's see now. And one, two, three. Yeah, and Rahu is so the population will be generally kind of excited over the next few months. There'll be a strong call for reform, not only in the United States but around the world. But and I just want to look at China and India quickly. I'll look at the UK and because I have a special interest in the UK, but not this week. Okay, so China was born 3 years before I was, and we're in October. So I'm not going to give you more information than that. Okay. So this is China's chart. Venus is in the first house. Saturn aspects Venus. Okay. And so China is in this Mercury K2 subperiod right now. Is, I would say, engaged in a major deceit campaign right now, but they're trying to focus on trade more so and have been since really since um, 2024. But let's look at what now is. And they're in the Venus Jupiter subperiod, so that's actually financially fairly good for them. So they're expanding again. They're actually expanding again. But again, expect them to get a little bit bellicose over the next month or so, just because this is a third house, which is connected with use of arms and use of military. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but um, that's something I'm a little bit worried about. India chart. Yep, I have the Taurus rising chart, which is the correct chart. So India is in a little bit of a disruptive state. Um, especially, this will be especially true with its allies or partners between December 15th and December 23rd. After December 23rd, it'll hit Venus subparade, which should be good for financial growth. And you have a lot of planets. Venus has a lot of planets in Australia, but this will be between December 23rd and January 6th. You'll see um, India promoting itself, January 16th, excuse me. You'll see India promoting itself at the cost of other countries. And then between January 16th and it's down a bit, and January 23rd, some problems in the rulership. And again, February 4th, 2026 to February 22nd, 2027 should be a prosperous period for India. But again, it'll also be disruptive in terms of the leadership. So that's something that I'm seeing. I'll look at that. I'll look at the charts of the prime minister and other people who are running as the elections grow closer. Let's go back to the now chart, and we'll look at the individual charts um, for all of you folks. Is again some danger of over expenditure. That's the first thing I usually start with this, but also increased luck this month because you'll have both Mars, the ruler of the first house, and Sun and Venus in the ninth house of luck. So this sign should see some increasing financial progress. Jupiter's in the third house, aspecting that ninth house. So again, it's very good for fulfilling ambitions. Some problems with moodiness on the part of spouse or relationship partner. And you have Sun, Mercury, and Venus in the eighth house. So this sign will seem very charismatic or very attractive this month. This is for the period from April 15th to May 15th. If you're using sun sign astrology, however, if you know your rising sign and you're an Aries or a Moony in Aries person, and this would be sidereal chart, not the tropical zodiac. For Taurus rising, or for Taurus rising sun or moon, this would be May 15th to June 15th. You have one more thing about Aries, gains of new friends, gains of more positive gains from friends. This isn't all that bad. Um, so, but again, don't trust them that much. Guess let's get back to Taurus again, which I had started on. Taurus has Venus as Lord of the first house in the seventh house. So again, good for dealing with other people for partnerships, but don't trust people that much. Anything you want to do with individuals, get written contracts, not a good time for new relationship activity. Um, Jupiter's in the second house, so that's actually pretty good. Jupiter's good for financial growth for this particular sign. Ketu's in the fourth house. This tends to give a lot of focus on home and also on vehicles. Moon is in the sixth house. Uh, a lot of focus on overcoming bad habits. Mars is in the eighth. We've already spoken about that. That's where the relationship problems come from. And Saturn's in the 11th house. So it should give some reacquaintance with old friendships, but also, I would say, less financial gains than you had really wanted. But you will get financial gains. For Gemini, this is June 15th through July 16th, roughly. It varies a little bit. Um, Gemini has essentially a good week. There'll be a lot of opportunities for relationship activity, but again, I wouldn't choose a long-term relationship partner right now. I would give that about 2 months' time. Um, Before I did that, if you want to date or if you want to see people, fine, but I wouldn't get too serious about one person. Um, and you'll be able to tell which person is loyal or consistent within about 2 months, 2.5 months time. Um, Second house Lord is the moon is placed in the fifth house. So good for financial growth for this sign. Ketu's in the third house. There's a certain amount of fearlessness and a strong level of self-control exercised by this sign right now. Sun, Mercury, and Venus are in the sixth house. This can give some problems to children in terms of substances, or either their eating habits or even some drug use. Mars is in the seventh house. That's why I said it's not a good time to get into long-term relationships, because you'll be looking for the spark. You'll be looking for the spontaneity. You won't be looking for the long-term um, stability of the relationship. So it may seem thrilling at first, but it won't last. Rahu is in the ninth house, gives good luck, good financial luck. Saturn's in the 10th house, good for career growth. For Cancer, our friend Cancer, this is July 15th through August 15th. We have Jupiter in the 12th house, which is basically good for saving or financial commitment. Ketu's in the second house. So this sign can say things that are a little bit spontaneous, or they can be unintentionally harsh at times. And the sign also has to watch out for overindulging in alcohol or bad food, other types of bad food. Moon is in the fourth house, so there's a lot of focus on relationships with other people. The sign is very socially oriented this month and this week. Fifth house has Sun, Mercury, and Venus in it. Again, this can indicate some problems for children being a little bit overly interested in dominating and also getting their own way and also in overindulging. Um, and they'll also be a little bit harsh in their speech. So the only thing this sign has to watch out for is quick or sudden anger in terms of the chart, though. So just count to 10 before you uh, curse anybody or um, get angry. Rahu, excuse me, Rahu is in the eighth house. This can indicate people conspiring against you. Um, in Vedic astrology, it's a combination of Saturn and Rahu in the eighth is a combination which can indicate the person has curses or has some bad deeds they need to atone for from a previous lifetime, but I think that's a little bit overstated. Rahu in this house just means people are jealous of you right now. Saturn is in the ninth house, good for luck, but you have to work very hard to attain it and keep it. So this isn't a bad chart for Cancer, July 17th, July 16th to August 15th. Let's look at Leo. That's August 15th through September 15th. It's also Leo rising and Leo moon. So Jupiter's in the 11th house for this chart. It gives financial gains, gains of influence, attainment of goals, and this will continue for the next 6 months or so. Um, K2 is in the first house. There will be points at which this person is actively hated, or individuals with this particular sign placement are actively hated or disliked immensely. Uh, and since K2 is in a fixed sign, that's not going to shift all that much. Moon is in Libra. That's generally a good placement. It's the Lord of the 12th house and the third house, so that's generally good for overcoming one's desires or ambitions. And so it gives a certain amount of self-control, especially in terms of spending money. Sun, Mercury, and Venus are in the fourth house. That's basically, again, a lot of focus on family and family life. Children will be a little bit difficult, though. They'll be argumentative and difficult to deal with. Rahu is in the seventh house. This doesn't mean the person necessarily gets tired of their spouse, but the spouse may be more independent or more um, on their own than normal. Uh, Saturn is in the eighth house. Again, this indicates opposition from traditionalists or people who are used to doing certain things, even if it's a hard way to do things in one way. Um, and Jupiter's in the 11th house again. That's very good for financial growth. Yeah, sorry about the problem anyway. Having with this microphone. Uh, okay, do this all the way without that happening again. No, I guess not. Let's, let me do this. This may be easier. Okay, so um, the next sign we're going to look at is Virgo. Virgo has K2 in the 12th house, so the spiritual side of this chart will be very strong. There'll be a very strong desire to give up things and get more interested in a spiritual life. Moon is in the second house. This particular placement is good for financial gains because it produces a kind of a wealth producing combination. The Lord of the first house is in the third, so there's more desire to express yourself, to make an impact on the world. Um, Mars is in the fourth house, a little bit difficult for relationship life, and relationship partner will seem to be a little bit sad or depressed or limited in the chart. Rahu is in the sixth house. This isn't a bad placement. It means gives a person the ability to overcome their enemies. Jupiter is in the 10th house, good for career strength. So essentially, the person will have good luck in career without really seeking it all that strongly. Um, and it will tend to make this person very popular. But again, there will be arguments with different people uh, at the same time as you have this strong Jupiter in the 10th house of career. So again, not a bad week for Virgo. Long-term relationships should probably be avoided for the next couple of months, though. So Virgo lasts from September 15th to October 15th. I already said that. The next sign is Libra. Libra has the moon in the first house. A lot of focus on career, a lot of focus, Jupiter's aspecting moon, focus on writing and expression and teaching. And so Libra lasts between October 15th and November 15th. But this can also be Libra moon or Libra rising. And you have a cluster of planets in the second house. Very good for growth for financial growth. The 11th house Lord is in the second house for the time being until about 3 days from now. And so you'll see financial improvement for this sign over the next few days. Mars is in the third house. This is very good for taking chances or for putting energy into projects that were set aside for a long time. Saturn is actually aspecting that Mars, so there's this strong desire to wait until everything's perfect until you start. But I'm telling you flat out, there's no such thing as a perfect time to start. So if you have a project that's been sitting on the back burner for let's say for a couple of years because of Saturn influences, try to break out of it because there's no such thing as a perfect time to start. And if you do things right now, you'll be very careful and very um, meticulous in the way you do your work. So it's actually a good time to start projects. Jupiter is giving you the extra bounce here, so again, that's good. Rahu is in the fifth house in this chart. This actually isn't a bad placement for Libra rising. Rahu is a friend of the ascendant Lord, or it gets along well with Venus. So Rahu will grant wishes or ambitions, or maybe too many of them at once. It will also increase attention and put more focus on gaining fame or recognition in the world. So this is not necessarily a bad placement for Rahu, but you have to watch out that it doesn't, the obsession for fame or recognition doesn't overcome your happiness. Saturn is in the sixth house. Saturn in the sixth house is good for overcoming bad habits and adversity. Jupiter's in the ninth house, very good for financial luck and financial gain. But again, it can cause a little bit of recklessness spending wise for this particular sun sign. Um, but again, this is not a bad chart for a Libra rising. This week actually looks fairly good. And sort of the next couple of months for Libra sun, excuse me. Scorpio starts on November 15th, goes to December 15th. And essentially you have the Sun, Mercury, and Venus in this house. So it should give luck from long-term relationships or low expenses as well. And a lot of intelligence, a lot of financial gains. So again, this is a kind of a mixed bag for Scorpio, but Again, this is generally a good combination in the first house because it brings together a couple of wealth producing planets. Mars is in the second house of wealth, and that underscores it, aspected by Jupiter. So that's a very good combination for making money. Rahu is in the fourth house. There'll be a lot of dissatisfaction with vehicles, and also, if I'm honest, with home life. So a lot of people emotionally will feel a little bit in tough shape over the next few months, but it'll pass. Um, there are no planets in the seventh house. Seventh house lowers in the first. Jupiter's in the eighth house can give unexpected luck, especially through sudden windfalls or sudden financial gains. K2's in the 10th house, not much recognition career-wise. Moon is in the 12th house. That gives generally good luck, but from people from faraway places. Okay. For Sagittarius, which lasts from um, December 15th through roughly January 15th, you have Mars in the first house. That's a good planet for this rising sign, so it tends to give a lot of luck. Sun will be moving into the sign soon, as will Venus. So Sun very shortly. So this week in particular should be a fairly lucky week for a Sagittarius rising and Sagittarius Sun. Mercury will enter this sign within about 3 weeks' time. So new partnerships, probably not a good idea, but you'll be thrust into new partnerships within about 3 weeks' time. You don't have to bite though, just because of the way the chart's constituted. I wouldn't over the next couple of months. But this is very good for financial growth, very good for financial improvement. Mars is a malefic, of course, so you're going to have to be aggressive about pursuing your wealth or pursuing your financial growth. Saturn aspects Mars, so this sign will feel like it needs to be perfect, and obviously it's not perfect right now. Jupiter also aspects Mars, so this is not a bad planetary position. Uh, Moon is in, so this will give gains from spouse or relationship partner. Um, Moon is in, and it will also give relationship opportunities, but again, I wouldn't make them formal right now. Moon is in the 11th house of gains. That does indicate some financial gains from unexpected returns on investments, if you're into that kind of thing. And Sun, Venus, and Mercury are in the 12th house. This is generally good for financial growth, um, but again, a little bit of a tendency to overspend. For Capricorn, our friend Capricorn has starts on January 15th, goes to February 14th or thereabouts. And this particular sign has Mars in the 12th house. So again, not good for new relationships for this particular sign, but good for financial growth, good for fulfillment of material desires like wealth and things like that. Um, Even good for promoting yourself. Jupiter's in the sixth house as Lord of the third. So that's actually a good planetary placement. This means a lot of your enemies will be won over relatively easily. Uh, K2's in the eighth house. A lot of interest in metaphysical or spiritual subjects, but it doesn't mean you'll take up a career in those. Moon is in the 10th house, so this indicates a change or a revision of job. And we have a cluster of planets in the 11th house, which are very good for financial gains, but again, quick expenditures. So again, not a bad week for Capricorn. Just stay out of like new long-term relationships and try to control the spending, and it should be a good week. For our friend Aquarius, let's see now. We have um, Rahu is at 18 degrees 44 minutes. So it puts it in Look, he puts it in Sadabhishak Nakshatra, which is bad for kings, bad for old kings. So that's one of the reasons the Epstein things are coming out right now. But um, getting back to the actual chart for you people who are Aquarius, suns or rising or moons, it will mean you'll be dissatisfied with your life position, wanting to try something new, wanting to try something different. There may even be difficulties in relationship life because relationship partner will seem to be a little bit difficult or a little bit uh, cranky or uh, unpredictable emotionally. Saturn's in the second house. This is a good placement for slow but steady material growth. Jupiter's in the fifth house. Good luck to children is indicated. Moon is in the ninth house. This is a good placement for growth through hard work. Sun, Venus, and Mercury are in the 10th house. This is actually a good yoga, good combination for gains through relationship partners and also through children and creative endeavors. So this is actually a really good combination for the 10th house. So work will be creative, it will be um, much sought after. And 11th house has Mars in it. So this should give good financial gains, especially in terms of property. For Pisces, last but not least in the zodiacal map, Pisces has Saturn in the first house, Lord of the 11th and the 12th houses. This is a good combination for financial growth, but again, slow and steady, and um, again, you'll have to watch out for excessive expenditures. Um, Jupiter's in the fourth house, good for educational attainment. Mars aspects Jupiter, so there can be some quick decisions made about entertainment, about education, excuse me. And K2 fits in the sixth house, good for overcoming enemies. The seventh house Lord is in the ninth house, good for financial gains and also higher education for the sign. And Mars is in the 10th house, good for financial growth and good for career advancement for Pisces. So that's it for the actual signs. Oh, by the way, before I go on, I would like you to suggest you subscribe. Click on the notification bell for when new videos are posted, and also comment. Please feel free to comment. Uh, I'm always open to suggestion, and I do look forward to hearing from you folks. Um, Also, please feel free to share this particular broadcast because it is important to me, and I would like to be producing more of this for you over time. As a matter of fact, I'm slowly but surely creeping towards a music video channel. So I actually made some moves in that direction today. So that's for those of you interested in that. That would be I'd be delighted to have you join me there. But that's a few months away. Let's see now. Time and space change. So let's look at the map. Okay, that worked better than I'm used to. So we have Saturn and Sun lines over Hawaii, Rahu lines over Hawaii and Alaska. So I'm still seeing some signs of a scandal in Hawaii and Alaska. So I know oil prices are very high in Hawaii, but that's because of import restrictions. But there's some kind of, I would say, government scandal happening in Hawaii. Um, doesn't seem to be land related, but some kind of issue with the government, and it's close to Oahu. So it's not really close to the Big Island. It's close to Oahu, which is, I believe, the seat of government in Hawaii. So this looks interesting. Alaska is going through the same kind of stuff. So we could see some um, scandals or some theft going on in government. And when I say that, I realize this is predictive. This is not. I have no inside information on those particular um, areas, and I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm just telling you what the astrological lines are saying. And there could be a change of government or a change in leadership in Alaska. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean the governor. There could be a shift over in senators or something like that. Um, there's a Jupiter line running through um, British Columbia, Washington State, and down into Cal and Oregon and down into California. And usually when you see a Jupiter line, there's some kind of a legal matter coming up in that particular state. Um, I believe Governor Newsom's been in the news lately. I don't know what the allegations are, but we'll see what that is. May amount to nothing at all. Um, Mercury's running close to Saskatchewan. I'm sorry, yeah, to Saskatchewan and Alberta. And we have a lot of lines running through the districts that are talking about leaving Canada. Um, and they're not necessarily right away, or at least they're not necessarily indicating a shift into the United States. But there is a shift towards they want increased self-determination, and the same is probably happening in um, Montana. Uh, looks like Colorado, down into New Mexico, and down into Texas. So Texas has just recently passed that resolution about um, um, redrawing their districts, and there's been a lot of news out of Texas, obviously, because of Jasmine Crockett announcing her senatorial candidacy, and also some news out of Mexico and down through Chile. Uh, so we'll see what happens there. There is some kind of a government scandal affecting Chile, um, Peru, and Venezuela and Ecuador, as well as um, Jamaica and Haiti, and let's see, no, there's even some disruption or some potential for violence in Puerto Rico. So I'm not wishing that on them because there's potential for violence near the Great Lakes and down through Michigan and down through um, Virginia and into Maryland. So all those areas should be careful. Also up near Guyana and through Brazil. Intense rains or intense weather is indicated for, so Venus lines usually indicate intense precipitation. And that's true for the Midwest all the way through. Um, what line this is? Excuse me. Yeah, all the way from the Midwest, pretty much through the Great Lakes, yeah, is indicated, and also hitting North Carolina and Virginia and South Carolina. Um, let's see now. Yeah, some government scandals are bound to hit the areas I just spoke about as well. So just uh, keep your hat on. a lot of government problems in New York State, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, down through Cuba, down through Venezuela, as we said before. A lot of scandals, a lot of disruption in their lives. And there's a Saturn line hitting down into um, Guyana, down into Brazil, and down into Bolivia, and down into Argentina. So Saturn lines usually indicate some kind of hardship. It can be financial. It can also be related to Earth um, environments and flooding. So I'm not particularly happy to see those lines hit those areas. There is a Jupiter line hitting right off the coast of Canada, almost touching into Brazil. There's a moon line hitting Brazil, so we should see some famous people emerge from Brazil over the next couple of months, some popular people. And also, uh, there's a moon line running through Greenland, so the moon is in Libra, so there's some discussion about trade or ownership of Greenland, which we know is going on. Um, let's see now. If we go over to Europe, because there are no lines in the mid-Atlantic right this week, we go over to Europe, we have a Rahu line running close to London or close to England, close to Norway, close to uh, France, uh, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, and into North Africa, Libya and Algeria, and even into Chad and down into Mozambique and Angola. So, so essentially, that accident on Angola was accidental, as it wasn't deliberate. Um, and we'll be hearing a lot of news about France, Libya, and Western Africa over the next week or so, and also about England, this entire region right here. There's a lot of dissatisfaction in both Norway and England right now. Okay, so that's something that seems to be an issue. Torrential rains, maybe in Algeria down through Central Africa, or disruptive weather patterns. And let's see now, we have a Saturn line running through um, Sweden. Let's see now, it looks like it's not quite Belarus. It's not Denmark either, but it's Western Europe, far Eastern Europe, like around Poland. And so this line is so Saturn. This line is also going through Romania, Bulgaria, and down into Egypt and down into Sudan. Um, so so essentially, this part of the world is going to be experiencing some economic constriction, um, all the way from Sweden all the way down into South Africa. And we have a Mars line hitting close to Belarus and Turkey and down into Egypt, down into Sudan, and not quite into Somalia. We're close. So Somalia is right here, and also close to Eritrea and Ethiopia. So there may be some fighting or some disruption in that part of the world. Um, let's see now. If we go over to Russia, there's a Jupiter line running through. So Ukraine is sort of between Jupiter and Mars. So we'll probably see some more fighting. I wish that would end already. Um, but it's possible Putin is waiting to see what the outcome of these allegations against Zelensky's party end up, which is a shame because they should have more peace now than later on. Um, Saudi Arabia is, so I hope I'm wrong about that, and I hope they actually come to an agreement really, really soon. The earliest I've seen that happen, excuse me, I didn't mean to do that. The earliest I've seen that happen is maybe in mid-January. So I'm hoping they can reach a peace agreement, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a lot earlier. Um, there is a Jupiter line running through Iran, so actually, and through Kuwait, I believe. So I think, no, not through Kuwait, excuse me. That's through, God, what's the name of that country? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a mental blank right now. My apologies, folks. Yemen. Uh, so, so essentially, this could indicate an expansion of the resources in these countries, and there's a moon line running through Pakistan, could indicate a change of government, but also some flooding. There are no lines running through India. India is buffered by moon and Mercury, so uh, be a relatively um, from a planetary line signification. There's not really much happening in India. From its chart, there's a lot happening. Okay, so um, but this doesn't indicate anything earth-shaking happening this week. Um, there's a Mercury line running through Cambodia, South Vietnam, China, and a Rahu line running through Vietnam and all the way down into Malay and Indonesia. So usually what that means is there's going to be news about that part of the world and also news about commerce for that part of the world. Um, there's also a Rahu line, so there can be some scandals connected with those particular elements, especially around this region of the world. Okay. And we're almost done, folks. We have a Rahu line we discussed. The Saturn line is running through China. It does indicate a slowdown in economic growth, despite what I said earlier, and also a slowdown in the Philippines and in Borneo and Indonesia and Western Australia. Let's see now. We have the ascendant signs are the rising sign, and Venus. I'm sorry, Venus is going through. Excuse me, Venus line is going through um, China. So again, that's good for trade, but also a little bit dangerous for um, water. Okay, so you can see some flooding in that region of the world. And the Venus line is also going through North Korea, as you can see from this map. And I'm going to zoom out again. And so that indicates some kind of water crisis in North Korea going up into China. And let's see now. Mars is running through Philippines, so there could be some fighting there or some some conflicts. And so we've ended off with these like the Venus line is also running through Japan, and this indicates the government will start to take a stronger role in the economy overall. And let's see now, the only lines that we have outstanding to look at are the Jupiter line running through Australia. So Australia has been experiencing some economic trouble. This may help it out, but it may also cause more inflation. And there's a moon line running through Guyana, and I'm sorry, New Guinea. My apologies, New Guinea and Australia. And so when this happens, there's usually a change of administration or a change of leadership in these areas. So that is all I have for you this week, my lovely people. Um, I hope you have a great week. I love each and every one of you. And if you have a dream, please pursue it. Pursue it with honor, pursue it with integrity, pursue it as if you meant it, okay? Because you deserve to succeed, okay? So that's it. I love you all again. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. And namaste. Thank you so much for your putting up with my mic. Also, subscribe, share, and if you'd like me to cover any more pertinent topics that are of interest to you or world topics that you're interested in, please do let me know. I try to keep up on current events, and I'd be happy to get your feedback. Thanks a lot, everyone. I love you all. And so three times, I must mean it. And thank you for watching. Namaste. I do have other microphones. I'm going to be upgrading in a little while. Bye.